Hello everyone, it's Pixel again, and this is going to be another MLP fanfic review for the month of Macabre, yeah. And this time I'm going to be doing Haunting Nightmare. So, first and foremost, disclaimer, I own nothing, everything belongs to the rightful owners, so please go and support them and be nice, please. And also, some viewers may find this a bit disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised, and yeah. Oh well. Yeah, so now I did do like Rainbow Dash Presents Haunting Nightmare as well. That and yeah, because from what I've heard, the original was mostly about Luna. Anywho, though, that's enough of me rambling. Let's get into Chapter 1 of Haunting Nightmare, Signs. So, and the summary for this story is, throwing a party to welcome the season of Nightmare Night, the library becomes the target of strange activity. Minor annoyances become greater events, and soon Twilight and Spike each take action to handle the situation in their own way. All the while, questions hang in the air. What lingers amongst the shelves? What watches from the corners? What stands just behind you, only to disappear when you turn to look? What is in the library, and what does it want? So this chapter starts at midnight, well, it mostly starts at the library, where Pinky is throwing a party to welcome the season of Nightmare Night. And as the main six and Spike are partying, Zecora comes for a visit. And Twilight tells Zecora that Pinky is just throwing a party to, kick off the season of Nightmare Night. So Twilight invites Zecora in, and yeah. And so, yeah, they go where the games are, and Pinky is also there to greet Zecora as well. And Pinky actually asks why Zecora lives in the Everfree Forest. And she says it's, well, because of the rare, the stuff. Apparently the Everfree has, roots and moss, for what she does. And of course, Pinky actually tells Zecora that the two of them have a score to settle, and she goes to get a box and tells Zecora to pick her color. Apparently, so yeah, they're playing pin the tail on the pony. And Zecora actually gets it right. And Pinkie Pie says that she's not going to let it happen again and that she's been practicing. So Pinkie Pie tries again, and she actually manages to, well, pin the tail on the pony. Well, actually, no, it's Zecora who manages to get a perfect bullseye on it. Sorry about that. So, and of course Pinkie wonders how Zecora was managed to do that. And she says that she too has been practicing. So yeah, they then have, and then Rainbow Dash tries to pin the tail on the pony as well. And Rainbow ends up making a mess and ends up spilling green apple punch on Rarity. And Twilight is, of course, she basically offers to clean it all up. But Rarity says that she'll take care of it. So Rarity uses her magic to clean up the mess. And Twilight is actually impressed by it and tells Rarity that she'll have to teach her, which Rarity says she's happy to. And she basically has to get rid of, like, the material that she used to clean up the mess, because, it's messy now. But something else happens, which causes... Oh, crap. No. Basically what happened, Rainbow Dash made a mess, Rarity helped clean it up, and what happens now is that basically something ends up happening. Basically the lights end up going out, and of course which causes Twilight and Rarity to panic, and Rarity ends up dropping the punch on herself, and she of course asks Twilight, to go into the bathroom to clean herself up. So Twilight leads Rarity upstairs to get herself cleaned up. Zecora actually leaves the library, but she does for a while stay inside the library of the door frame because and then she says something and returns to the party, and it seems I am so sorry, excuse me. It seems that Zecora is slightly on edge, almost as if she's kind of like... It seems that she thinks that something is wrong, and... So, a few days later, and we see Twilight waking up, and... and goes down and sees Spike making breakfast. And of course, and Twilight gets the feeling that something happened, and Spike suggests that he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart, but Twilight thinks that something happened because Spike is obviously trying to butter her up. And Twilight's not falling for it and demands to know what happened, and Spike ends up confessing. And he basically confesses that he forgot to lock the library door last night. And Twilight wonders what makes Spike think that. And Spike explains that when he was coming out of the bathroom to go to bed, he thought that he heard something moved downstairs. So, and since Twilight was asleep at that time, it couldn't have been her or Aloysius, since I'm supposing he was asleep as well. And Spike thought that he forgot to lock it, and also got the feeling that someone was inside. But Twilight tells Spike not to worry about it. And she understands why Spike would worry about it, since apparently Rainbow Dash was, scaring him with stories about creatures from the Everfree Forest. And Twilight reassures Spike that it was just an accident. But he still has to make it up to her, so she says that he has to go upstairs and make her bed. And he does. So Twilight, eats her breakfast, but she goes into the library to see what happened, and to see if something happened, something being opened when it should have been closed. But she doesn't find anything and goes back to eating her breakfast. But when she ends up eating some of her oatmeal, she cries out in pain, saying that, and of course Spike comes down to see what happened, and she Twilight says that she burned herself. Apparently on the oatmeal that Spike made, and she thinks that he made it too hot, but Spike tells her that it wasn't too hot when he went to go make the bed. And Twilight, she tries to argue, but, she knows Spike is right about it, because, yeah, she had some of the oatmeal before, and she didn't have any problems. And we then see Spike at Rarity's, where he's helping her with the Nightmare Night costumes, and she tells him that he's just letting his imagination get the better of him. But Spike tells Rarity about, the incident of Twilight burning her mouth on oatmeal. And that they also found a bunch of books that apparently fell off the shelves, and Twilight apparently waking up screaming because of nightmares. And Rarity asks what the nightmares were about, and Spike says that Twilight can't remember, and that's the weirdest thing. And that but she does remember that it was very colorful, and it felt like she was being ripped apart. And Rarity reassures Spike that, that's a pretty horrific nightmare to have, like a very terrible nightmare to have, she wouldn't worry too much about it. And then Rainbow Dash enters the boutique and wonders what's going on, and Rarity tells her that Spike is worrying about Twilight, and she's trying to reassure him that there's, nothing to worry about. And Rainbow Dash says that she came to get some fabric for her Nightmare Night costume. And apparently Rainbow is going as a surprise. Well, what her costume is going to be is a surprise as well. And Rainbow actually teases Spike if he's going to be a pincushion. Sorry about that. A pincushion for Halloween, since, in that one episode where Spike has, the pins in him because of his scales. And Spike says that he was just helping Rarity and, just talking to her. And he says that he's going as a dragon for Nightmare Night, but Rainbow points out that he is a dragon. Sorry, just trying to make myself comfortable. But he says that he's going as an adult dragon. So, Rainbow Dash asks both Rarity and Spike what they were talking about before she came in. And Spike tells her everything about, from Twilight having bad dreams, to the oatmeal burning her, and the whole books falling off the shelves, and that both Rarity and Twilight are just telling Spike it's just his imagination, but Rainbow suggests that the library might be haunted by someone or something. And Rainbow thinks that something is... She basically tries to scare Spike, and she manages to succeed, and Rarity walks in on them with the fabric that Rainbow Dash required for her costume. And Spike tells Rarity that Dash said that the library was haunted. And of course Rarity scolds her for trying to scare Spike like that, and that she doesn't want to hear another word about it, or Rainbow Dash doesn't get the fabric. So Rainbow says that she'll stop, and she takes... And so yeah, she takes the fabric, and Rainbow and Spike asks Rainbow if she really thinks the library is haunted, and if there's something that they can do about it. And Rainbow suggests that they should do a seance. Spike asks what that is, and she basically says you can talk to Ghost and find out why it's haunting the library. Sorry about that, just trying to get comfy. So, yeah. And also, they can also find a way to get rid of it. So, Spike tells Rainbow that once Twilight goes to bed, that Rainbow can meet him at Twilight's house to perform it. Like I said, when she goes to bed. And then we see Pinkie wondering if this is a good idea, because she says that Spike really seems scared about all of this. And yeah, and Rainbow Dash being herself, she thinks that she says that since it's going to be Nightmare Night soon, that this is the best time to pull pranks. And Pinkie agrees, but she doesn't want this to go too far, and she doesn't want to, freak Spike out and make him miss the holiday. Dash promises that they won't. And she gets the idea that this might help Spike with getting over his fears. That she says that they'll just scare him and that it's just a prank. And whether he's going to laugh with them or just be mad at them, she gets the feeling that he won't be scared anymore about what's happening. And Pinkie asks when they start the prank, and Rainbow Dash says that as soon as he lets them in, and Spike invites Pinkie and Rainbow Dash into the house and wonders if this is really going to work. Rainbow says that she promises, and if Twilight is asleep. Spike says yes, and Rainbow brings out something like, she basically brings out a Ouija board, which she calls a phantom speller, which, once again, those, like, do not mess with this stuff. Like, don't. It's scary. Like, yeah, don't mess with it at all. Just no. A lot of no. Nope. Just no. Anywho, yeah, but seriously, do not mess with a Ouija board. So, Spike asks how it works, and Rainbow tells them that they each have to put a hoof or a claw on the pointer and has to basically ask questions. And the spirit will use the pointer to spell out the answer. So they do. So they each place the tip of their claw, or in Pinkie and Dash's case, hoof, on the pointer and asks if there are any spirits. And nothing happens for a moment, but the pointer starts to move, and Spike asks Pinkie if she's doing that, but it seems that they are doing it. But just before Spike catches on to their prank, the pointer points to yes. And Spike is beginning to think that this isn't a good idea, but Rainbow tells him, don't you want the ghost to leave? And he says, of course he does. He wants the ghost to be gone. And Rainbow Dash tells him that then he has to stay and help them, because they won't be able to find out how to make it go away if they don't talk to it. And Rainbow Dash asks the next question, which is if the ghost is a spirit, and it points to no. And apparently this seems not to be part of the prank, but Spike just tells either Pinkie or Rainbow Dash to just ask what it wants, and Rainbow Dash does, asking, what do you want? And it starts to spell out what is mine. And Rainbow looks at Pinkie Pie and thinking that she's doing this. But Pinkie states that she's not doing it. And Spike asks if something was taken from the spirit, or whatever this is. And the pointer points to yes. And Rainbow says that she asks Spike if he doesn't mind if she and Pinkie Pie raid the kitchen. Spike tells them to go ahead, and he goes upstairs to the bathroom. So, yeah, they go to the kitchen, and Rainbow Dash demands to know what Pinkie is doing, because this isn't what they rehearsed. But Pinkie, of course, accuses Rainbow of that she's actually moving the pointer. But Rainbow Dash, she reassures her that she's not moving the pointer. And Pinkie gets the feeling that if she's not moving it, and Rainbow isn't moving it, and Spike isn't moving it, then that could mean that it might be a real ghost. But Rainbow is... But she's confused because this was only supposed to be a prank. She didn't get the feeling that the library was actually haunted. Sorry about that. But Pinkie Pie tells Rainbow Dash that that nothing will change, and that they'll do it for real this time instead of just pretending. That they'll ask the spirit what it wants and help Twilight and Spike get rid of it. And Pinkie actually brings up the time where they went to go get rid of the dragon in the mountains, and when Twilight rocked the Ursa Minor to sleep. But Rainbow isn't so sure about it anymore, but Pinkie Pie starts, she basically kind of calls Rainbow scared. And yeah, Rainbow says that she'll prove it and that she's not scared of any ghosts. So they go back to the board. I am so sorry, excuse me. I apologize, excuse me, I'm sorry. So they go back to the Phantom Speller. And Spike comes back from the bathroom. And Rainbow Dash asks the spirit if it can tell them what was taken from it. And the pointer points to no. And Pinkie asks why can't the spirit tell them what was taken, and instead asks then who was taken from the spirit. And it points to yes, and Pinkie asks who was taken, and the pointer points to each letter, spelling out she took her But Pinkie is confused and restates her question about and also she asks who was taken. And the board just spells out she took her, and Pinkie tries again to get a more detailed answer out of the board, or the spirit, I should say, or whatever is haunting the library, it seems. And Rainbow tries to stop Pinkie from asking any more questions and not to basically not to anger whatever this is. So, but Pinkie tries once again to get the spirit to answer who she is, who was taken. And Rainbow tries to leave. And Rainbow tries to leave, but Pinkie tells her not to go, and that they're actually talking to a spirit. But Pinkie Pie reassures her that she doesn't have to be scared. But Dash insists that she's not scared. And Spike tries to get their attention, but they ignore him. He does manage to get their attention, though, and Rainbow asks, "What is it?" And he points to the board, saying that it's still going. So they go to see what the board is spelling. And it's spelling, "She took her and I want her back." And also, "She will help me I think it's gather, like you're gathering up something." So the pointer stops, and of course Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, and Spike are all they're all understandably terrified. And Spike asks if it's gone, but they're all startled by someone talking, and they get found out by Twilight, who is not happy about this. And she demands to know what's going on and why Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash are there in the middle of the night at her house. So Spike tells Twilight what happened, that Dash and Pinkie were going to help get rid of the ghost, but Twilight tells Spike that there's no such thing. But he tries to tell Twilight what Rainbow Dash told him, but she just says that it's just Rainbow Dash being Rainbow Dash. And Rainbow confesses that both she and Pinkie Pie were going to prank Spike, But it didn't turn out like it did. And Pinkie Pie says that they were going to play a trick on Spike, but something actually happened, and they talked to a real ghost. Of course, Twilight doesn't believe that, and thinks that they were just trying to scare Spike. And Pinkie Pie tries to explain, but Twilight's not hearing, doesn't want to hear any of it, and tells Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash to go home, but they both try to one last time to convince Twilight, but it doesn't work since Twilight is pretty much done with this and not wanting to hear anymore, and plus she's also tired. And she does try to reassure Spike that nothing is haunting the library and that it was all just a prank. But Spike points out something about Rainbow Dash's... Sorry, I just need to adjust my legs. Sorry about that. And something about Dash... He basically tells about the Phantom Speller, and he asks where'd it go, and Twilight thinks that Rainbow took it with her when she left. So they both go to sleep, and Spike wonders if he actually tries to remember if Rainbow grabbed the board when she left, but he doesn't recall seeing it. But he still thinks that surely it didn't just vanish out of thin air, and so yeah. We then cut to Sweet Apple Acres, where apparently Spike is going to be staying a few nights with Applejack and her family. And AJ asks why, because it seems that Twilight sent a letter to her, and Twilight tells her that Spike wasn't being able to sleep at the library since Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie were playing with the Phantom Speller, and he ends up having nightmares. And Applejack asks if Twilight told him that there's no such thing as ghost, and she says that she did, but it didn't seem to help since he's now going to be staying with Applejack for a few nights. And apparently this has also been happening to Dash and Pinkie, because they told AJ what happened, and they seemed pretty scared too. But Applejack tells Twilight that she knows that she's upset at Pinkie and Rainbow for scaring Spike, but tells her not to be too hard on them, and that they didn't mean for things to get out of hand. And Twilight says that she knows that, but she's also just worried about Spike. since, you know, he's a baby dragon and he needs his sleep. And Applejack reassures her that she'll take good care of Spike. But yeah. So Twilight gives Applejack the last of Spike's things before she seemingly goes back to the library. And she once again thanks Applejack for doing this and says that she'll come back to check on Spike tomorrow. So Twilight goes back home and she actually starts reading on illusion spells to see if this might be magical, like if a unicorn is just pulling a prank on them. But she begins to feel cold. Well, it's more like she feels a draft. But Twilight just ignores it, thinking that it's, you know, just something not to worry about. But while she's, you know, checking off everything on her list, the cold returns again, but Twilight once again ignores it. So, but it starts to get to her, and she decides to she decides that she's not going to let the draft keep her from reading. So she checks the windows, making sure that it didn't come from there. But that doesn't do the trick either, because her right side still feels cold. So Twilight is, of course, she's aggravated at this because she thought that she managed to get rid of it. Because she tries to get warm. She takes the blanket off of her bed, and even, you know, she sits by the fireplace, but because there's no way, Twilight of course states that there's no way she can be this cold. And that seems to work for a while. And it seems to work, and Twilight goes back to reading, but she sees that she grabbed the wrong book. She ended up grabbing the history, a book about Equestria's history. And Twilight wonders where it came from, because it appears that she thinks that she got the right book, but somehow she didn't. But once she gets to the page that has an image of Nightmare Moon, someone says, "Mine." And of course Twilight asks if anyone's there. And she reminds herself to just pull herself together, and that the doors and the windows are locked, and Spike is at Applejack's, and there's no one there. But that doesn't... But she soon discovers the Phantom Speller appearing in the center of the floor. And since Twilight doesn't own one, she doesn't... She tries to touch it with her hoof to see if it's real, and the pointer then points to the word yes on the board, and Twilight tries to... She tells herself that no, there's no such thing as ghosts, and she's just tired. So, and of course she thinks that Rainbow left the Phantom Speller there the last time she was there. And Twilight puts the board away, and apparently her book ends up disappearing as well. She does find the book and goes back by the fireplace and starts reading. And this chapter ends with Twilight going to bed and telling herself that there's no such things as ghosts. Hooey, I can tell this is going to be interesting, and this was, in all honesty, an interesting start. Cause in the Rainbow Dash Presents Haunting Nightmares, since this story is also about Princess Luna, it would make sense in Rainbow Dash Presents Haunting Nightmare that she would be the one narrating the story. And also, the scene where Applejack wakes up and Twilight goes to drop off Spike, apparently there was... in this chapter there's a lot of build-up to Spike leaving and going to stay with Applejack, because apparently whatever this spirit is, it seems that it wants Twilight to be alone. And it appears that it's using the spirit board to communicate. Honestly, this story reminds me of the Paranormal Activity movies where... I am so sorry, excuse me. With things moving by themselves. I am so sorry, excuse me. And also just, stuff being misplaced, or the characters, having nightmares. So, yeah, and also, it also adds a bit of mystery, because we don't know, because the spirit is being very cryptic about the whole, she took her, and we don't know right away who she is, or what the spirit actually wants, because for the moment, at least in this chapter, it seems that it wants Twilight, and mostly because, the spirit seems to want Twilight to be alone, so yeah. Because, like I said, basically Spike being forced to spend a few nights at Sweet Apple Acres. And also, since this fanfic takes place oh, and also some side note, this is actually before Twilight became an alicorn. Just throwing that out there. So yeah, it also seems like that this spirit is... It seems that it's trying to... Well, it's obviously trying to possess Twilight, but for what reason, we don't know. And we also haven't seen Twilight be possessed yet by whatever this is. And it seems that... I got the feeling that Zecora may have sensed that something... Or at least got a... Either she sensed something in the library, or she got the feeling that something was going on in the library. She probably did something to try and protect the library. To basically keep, the bad spirits away. And also, by extension, to protect Twilight and Spike from it. So, yeah, that was Chapter 1 of Haunting Nightmare. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you all for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!